Here we are, Act 2, Scene 2. Just a couple things to remind yourself of before we continue on here. Number one, it's my expectation that you fill in all of the literary terms and the vocabulary for everyone. And my expectation is that you also write examples from the story. And so in this situation here, we have Romeo in Act 2, Scene 1. We have Mercutio and Benvolio see him kind of run off in the trees. And he actually runs off in the trees and he ends up on the outside wall of the Capulets. And he's sitting in the trees there and he sees Juliet come out to the balcony. She's a balcony out of her bedroom. And we have a lot of dramatic irony here, right? Juliet saying stuff, kind of expressing her feelings, right? We know that Romeo is under the balcony. Juliet does not. So we know more than the characters do, and we have some beautiful soliloquies here. We just have a great, I think it really defines that love, and when you read it and you listen to it, and you think, man, this is a little intense. Well, I agree, but it is what it is, and I think that love makes us do crazy things. It's hard to explain, and here we go.
He jests at scars that never felt a wound. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou her maid art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady, oh, it is my love, oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp.
So here we have Romeo. He sees his beautiful Juliet. On page 767 in your book, you see a great example of that. Juliet's out on the balcony, and Romeo compares her. He says, "'Tis not she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes." So he pretty much says, two of the brightest stars in the whole sky had to go away on business, and they're asking her eyes to twinkle in their places. So she has twinkly eyes. Interesting. I've never used that pickup line. I never had to, but it's good to keep in your back pocket if you need it, I guess, and so he continues on.
Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Dang, I wish I was a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. Whew. He wants to touch her face, not her forehead, her face, right? Right next to her cheek, to give a little, caressing of that, under the eye there, between the ear and the eye, and very, very beautiful. I hope you guys appreciate my stupid comments here. I'm just trying to make you laugh a little bit. On a side point here, there is some chocolate Dove here. It looks like a new kind of stuff, a new packaging for Dove chocolate. I've never seen that with the little. I wonder if they're like, are they coins? What are they? I get a 2-pack. You know what you like? Gift yourself this Valentine's Day. I thought Valentine's Day is when you love others, but I guess I learned something new from Dove Day. So Valentine's Day is when you buy stuff for yourself, in case you're wondering.
Me, she speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, when he bestrides the lazy pacing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
So here Juliet starts talking. She does not know that Romeo hears her. She's unaware that Romeo is below the balcony. And this would be dramatic irony, right? We know more than the characters does. And she's really struggling right now. She's in love with a man who she's not supposed to be in love with, right? And we'll continue on.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? father, and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear?
So she pretty much says, Romeo, Romeo, why do you have to be a Romeo, a Montague, right? Forget your father and change your name, or else, if you won't change your name, just swear you love me and I'll stop being a Capulet. And Romeo says, hey, should I listen more or should I speak up?
Or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
So Juliet here is talking about her name, right? And she says her name is her only enemy at this time, right? And I think a really good way she talked, would a rose still smell just as sweet if it wasn't called a rose? And, sometimes we focus on certain things and we're like, oh, I need to have this, and there's other things that are just as great that don't cost as much money, that don't have a prestigious name, and they're still great people. And I think it's something to be said there. And then I missed a question. If you go back to number 3, it says, how does Juliet speak, yet she says nothing? So I think that's pretty explanatory there, self-explanatory on 767. She's out on the balcony. She's processing the day. She's deep in thought, and it's not allowing her to sleep, and that's why that takes place. So Romeo says something here, probably a little creepy, to get a response here. Remember, Juliet's unaware that Romeo is under the balcony.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo.
What man art thou that thus screened in night so stumblest upon my counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo, and a Montague?
Neither, fair saint, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no let to me.
If they do...
So Juliet says, how did you get over the walls? How did you end up here? If my relatives find you here, they're going to kill you because you're a Montague. And Romeo says, with love light's wings did I perch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do that dares love attempt, therefore thy kinsmen are no stopping. He said love made me do it, right? I flew over these walls with the light wings of love. Stone walls can't keep love out. Whatever a man in love can possibly do, his love will make him try to do it. Love makes us do things, right? Therefore, your relatives are no obstacle to me. Pretty much says there on number 7 that he's willing to die for her, right? It's obviously a beautiful thing for Juliet to see a man that is this committed is pretty impressive. And obviously we know that there's a quick pace to it because they're not supposed to be around each other.
Do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight. And but thou love me, then let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued, wanting of thy love.
By whose direction foundst thou out this place?
By love that first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet were thou as far as that vast shore washed with the furthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise.
Okay, pretty intense here. Who told you how to get here below my bedroom? And his response, love showed me the way. All right, that's a little over the top. I mean, personally, that's what I think. Like, if my wife said, how did you get here? Oh, love directed me here. My wife would pretty much tell me, Well, I can tell you what she said. She's like, "You're an idiot." But obviously, Juliet has a different form of love than my wife. When my wife tells me I'm an idiot, it's a nice way for her to tell me, that she loves me.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush be paid my cheek for which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayest prove false. At lovers' perjuries they say Jove laughs. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully.
So, she's kind of a little taken aback here. She's blushing by the intense manner of what Romeo is saying, and she finds it very beautiful. And she's just trying to figure out how much does Romeo love her. Unfortunately, in society today, we make this word love be pretty intense. Oh, I love you. And to love someone on my teacher little quote out there outside my door with who I am and whatnot. My favorite quote's on there, and it states, "Love lives through sacrifice and is nourished by giving. Without sacrifice, there is no love." And I think that's a great thing to think about in love. You have to sacrifice for others. You have to give of yourself to others. You have to be selfless, not selfish, not what are you trying to get out of it? That's not the intent of love. Love is about sacrifice, and it's about giving of yourself to others. And I think, Juliet thinks the word is used a little too much, as I think it's used a little too much today in society. And she's just trying to test the waters to make sure, she's trying to make sure that he really means this.
Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay, so thou wilt woo. But else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my behaviour light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess. But that thou overheardst ere I was ware my true love passion. Therefore pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love which the dark night hath so discovered.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon I swear, that tips with silver all these fruit tree
Oh,
tops.
swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
So Romeo, Juliet's prove that you love me. I should have been a little bit more standoffish to begin, but prove that you love me. And Romeo says, "I swear by the moon." Juliet says, "Well, don't swear by the moon because every day the moon changes." And Romeo says, "What should I swear by?" And Juliet responds,
Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
"Ooh, swear by yourself, and you're a god I worship like an idol." There's a nice romantic line. You're like an idol to me. I don't think that's a good thing to say, but whatever. Everyone has their own little love things that they like to do, and Juliet tells Romeo, "I'm going to worship you like an idol."
My heart's dear love.
Well, do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy at this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet good night. This bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night. Good night, as sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast.
So Juliet's a little questionable here. She has a few red flags, and I think it's always good to be thoughtful. I mean, is this really true? And she said, "Well, I think we're good for the night. Our love is really rich, like a flower in the bud, but it may turn out to be a beautiful flower by the next time we meet. I hope and enjoy the same sweet peace, and I feel in my heart." So she's really appreciative of where they are, but she also knows there's definitely so far to go, and she's at a good spot right now. And Romeo responds,
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
"Whoa!" So he says, "I'd be satisfied if we made each other true promises of love, and a true promise is to be married."
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would it were to give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank and give it thee again. And yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea. My love is deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite.
So yeah, this is a pretty amazing quote. If you look, it's up on my wall. My bounty is as boundless as the sea. My love is as deep. The more I give to you, the more I have, for both are infinite. And I think that's really true about love, right? My generosity to you is as limitless as the sea. I am selfless for you. My love is as deep as anything, right? The more I'm completely in love with you, right? The more I give to you, the more I have. And I think that's such a true thing. You know, generosity towards other actually brings back more to yourself. When you give of yourself, when you give your gifts and your talents to other people, we always get more in return. You know, you think about times in your life where you volunteered, maybe you've helped out a neighbor, and you know, it's not about raising your hand and telling everyone that you did it, but the part about that is that usually we're given back tenfold what we give to others, and I think it's a pretty amazing thing there when you think about love, about sacrifice and giving, and without sacrifice, there's no love, and Juliet really feels that.
I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu. Anon, good nurse. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little. I will come again.
So the nurse is there. She's looking for Juliet. Obviously, she's not in her room, making sure she's in bed. She tells Romeo she'll be right back.
Oh, blessed night! I am afeard being a knight, all this is but a dream. Too flattering sweet to be substantial.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite. And all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
So Juliet says, hey, she says, Romeo, give me 3 words, right? And it's good night for real, right? If you really love me, I'm going to send a messenger tomorrow, and you need to tell them when and where we'll be married. I'll lay all my fortunes at your feet and follow you, my lord, all over the world. So she's pretty much calling them out here. Either you're bluffing or you're serious. Tomorrow, I want to talk about marriage, and I'm going to have someone come out and check because I can't go out by myself because, you know, I'm a daughter and a female at this time, and I don't have as much luxury as you do.
I come anon, but if thou meanest not well, I do beseech thee. By and by I come, to cease thy suit and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow will I send.
So thrive my soul.
1,000 times good night.
1,000 times the worse to want thy light. Love goes towards love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love towards school with heavy looks.
Psst, Romeo! Psst! Oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud. Else would I tear the cave where Echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with repetition of my Romeo's name.
It is my soul that calls upon thy name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears.
Romeo,
My dear,
at what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee?
at the hour of 9.
I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. I forgot why I did call thee back.
Ooh, big hyperbole. It seems like 20 years. And so the plan is that Juliet's going to send a messenger at 9 o'clock in the morning to find Romeo to talk about marriage.
Let me stand here till thou remember it.
I shall forget. To have thee still stand there, remembering how I love thy company.
And I'll still stay to have thee still forgetting any other home but this.
'Tis almost morning, I would have thee gone, and yet no farther than a wanton's bird that lets it hop a little from her hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and with a silk thread plucks it back again, so loving, jealous of his liberty.
I would I were thy bird.
Ooh, I wish I was your bird. I've never used that line.
Sweet, so would I, yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow.
Sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly father sell his help to crave and my dear hap to tell.
So here we have the end. Obviously, we have a couple couplets again to begin. And Romeo says at the end, he says, hey, I hope you sleep peacefully. I wish I were sleep in peace so I could spend the night with you. I don't know what you want me to tell you about that pickup line, but I would tell you it's a little corny, but whatever, Love makes us say and do stupid stuff. Now he's going to go visit his priest, right, to ask for his help and to tell him about his good luck of finding the one and only Juliet. Obviously, we have a big problem here. They're talking about marriage. Their parents don't know about it. Montague and Capulet getting married. But sometimes, um, it's hard to express all of your love in the right words, but they're doing a great job trying to, go through it. Juliet's had some red flags along the way, and obviously Romeo has been able to put those flags down and to continue on. So now the next thing is, will Romeo be at the square at 9 o'clock in the morning, and will Juliet send a messenger to make this stuff work out? But first, he needs to go talk to his priest to